Kenny, thank you for coming on and talking to Mike and I about Grit Fitness. Mike and I guess Mike's been following you a lot longer than I have. I didn't know Grit was such a thing. I'm not originally from here, so it's
okay.
Don't kick my ass here.
He will.
But man, so just briefly talk about what Grit is about, how y'all got started. What motivates y'all to keep driving?
So I'll warn you, I'm not good at brief.
Well, good, because we're not good at talking. So.
Perfect for a podcast.
So yeah, no, I'm not good at brief, but I also don't know how entertaining the story is. So those two may not go together. My hard part is always where to start. So that I guess that's the question. You wanted a brief. How far?
Well, so you have.
So briefly, I'll tell you. We have 3 gyms. We have one in Bay City, one in West Columbia, one in Lake Jackson. Originally started with the one in West Columbia. It was just me and my buddy. The way it started was just me and my buddy worked out every day. Yeah. I then started coaching for my sister-in-law's gym, and then her gym closed. And so I saw the opportunity. I was coaching. I had a pretty sizable class. I say pretty sizable. There's about 15 ladies that were just hardcore. They just loved it. And when I told them I wasn't going to be coaching anymore because that gym was closing, they were like, no, you got to keep coaching us. So that's when I came up with the idea for Grit Fitness. I say that's when I came up with the idea. I'm the kind of guy that from the second I started training, I kind of had this vision, if I ever owned a gym, this is what it would look like. And so when I saw the opportunity, I already knew, I knew exactly what I wanted it to be. So it was pretty effortless. I say effortless. It's taken quite a bit of effort, but to say, all right, here's what we're going to do. I already had the plan. And so when it started though, originally the original intent, my thought was, I just want a place where me and my friends can work out. And again, the whole idea was if I could have it any way that I wanted it to be, what would it be? And that's what I worked to create. And so we started in January 2016, and 4 months later we had 60 members. What? And I didn't know, I was what is happening? Where are these people coming from? I didn't know that was really a possibility, because I had coached at a gym in the same location for 2 years previously, and the most I could ever get in a class was 15 people. And our 4:30 a.m. class, we had 40 people coming every single day, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Where was that first gym at?
Yeah,
it was in West Columbia. It was right outside of town. It was in a building that I still own, but it was just the front portion of the building. It was 1,800 square feet. It was right outside of West Columbia.
Well, you said you had 3 gyms, but
we do now.
Do you have one in Missouri too?
So yeah, we have an affiliate.
Okay.
It's our first affiliate, yes, in
Very
Missouri.
Nice.
So we don't own it, but he, basically buys licensing to our branding and programming.
Okay.
That's really cool.
And he functions and operates as a Grit Fitness, yeah.
And would you say the West Columbia location's the heart of Grit?
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of our headquarters, if you will, or whatever you want to call it. So
very nice. So talk about what Grit is. It's not a normal, you got a bunch of freaking savages going in.
Yeah.
Well, so see, it's hard to dissect all that, because it definitely has that persona from the outside.
Okay.
But what the heart of Grit is, the purpose, what Grit actually is what I've tried to make it, which I don't know, maybe I'm failing at. I've tried to make it this safe space for people who have they think to themselves, I can't do that. That's not for me. Because that's my fitness experience, is looking at other people doing it, thinking, yeah, good for them, but that's not really for me. So I wanted to create the kind of space where literally anybody could come. Now, it is called Grit Fitness, and Grit is all about being able to keep going when most people would quit. But I think that everybody has a little bit of grit in them to a degree. And so we're here to show them that. So I wanted to create this space where people who don't think they can do it can come try. I've tried to make it to where there's no excuses. You don't have any excuses to not at least try. Our first 3 classes are free. And that's I never try to get anybody to sign up. I just want you to try for 3 free classes. Because if you don't want to sign up after 3 free classes, I don't want you here.
Right.
After 3 classes. If you'll give it an honest, 3 workouts, you'll know. So while we do have some savages, because I love that aspect of it too, I like to know there's like that balance. Okay, so you've got people on the couch who are doing absolutely nothing. Like, and in their mind, some of them think they're happy. Some of them are frustrated and know that they should probably be doing more. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people doing things, you know, like David Goggins, who runs 200 miles and does things with broken limbs. And when most people would check into a hospital, he keeps running, you know?
Yep.
So I try to have some sense of balance at our gym where it's like, yes, I want to help the guy on the couch or the lady on the couch who's like, I don't even care. And it's like, no, you do care because others around you, you're affecting others around you. And you don't know you care until you walk into the gym and you realize, oh, this is what I've been missing, right? Because like people just turn off. They're like, they don't know they're missing something. So I want to help them realize, hey, you are missing something. You can do this, and we're going to help you do it. There's like zero judgment, zero shame. I say that, and we judge everybody every time they do anything. But like that doesn't mean we don't love you. That doesn't mean that we don't want to help you. That doesn't mean that we weren't there. One of the ways that I've tried to do that is every single one of our coaches that we have, with the exception of one recently, was they don't come from a fitness background. And actually the exception I'm talking about, he doesn't come from a fitness background either. We were just average people, just regular people. And all of them, except for that one exception, were just awesome members of our gym for like a year or 2 years before they became a coach at our gym. And that was their training, was like being a member of our gym. So there were people who went from basically like just average, everyday, ordinary person that doesn't really work out much. Maybe they ran a few 5Ks in their life. They were fit in high school, whatever. But they took Grit Fitness serious, and the programming that we offer and the systems that we have in place to motivate and encourage through, you know, whatever, nutrition, community, all that. And they just went all in, and it literally transformed them from, you know, what most people would consider average to like extremely fit and in shape and motivated and disciplined. And so those people, I've tried to create this atmosphere, like I said, where it's like, no, we get it. Like, we were just like you. Right. We're not some elite cut people. Like, we're just average people that have seen that we can do more than we think we can. So we're willing to shoot for it. I've tried to do lots of things that I've failed at, and that's never going to discourage me. Like, that motivates me more. I'm like, okay, what else can we try? That didn't work out so much. Or maybe I can re-engineer it. Okay, what did I do wrong? You know, it's fun. It's interesting. And so I've tried to create a space for people to come and do that in. And that's what Grit Fitness is, you know, for me. And at the same time, it takes away, like, it's an entry point. That's what Grit Fitness is. You don't have to think. Just show up. That's all we ask you to do. I had a lady recently. She has lost, this morning, she told me she's up to 71 pounds since joining Grit.
Wow.
And so, and she still has quite a ways to go. And she's constantly improving. She's constantly progressing. And when she first came, she was like, Kenny, I really want to, like, I'm really trying to do something. I'm really trying to change my life. I want to do good at this. And I looked at her and I said, listen, don't worry about what you can and can't do here. Don't worry about what the other people in the room doing. You have one objective. It's to show up every single day, regardless of what you think about it, how you feel about it. If show up for an hour every single day, and I promise you'll get the results you're looking for. And she is. It's people like that who don't overthink it and don't think, you know, no, that's not for me. And it's like, no, we're talking about your health. It's not like, can I do it? It's, am I willing to try? That's what it amounts to. And so that's what Grit Fitness is. I've tried to create this entry point for people.
Well, that's powerful. So looking at your website and your social media on Instagram, y'all have created a cult-like atmosphere in a good way, though.
A positive cult.
We get that a lot.
But it's,
and I'm okay with that.
It's infectious. It's a sense of community that I get just looking at your posts. Everyone's always smiling, having a good time. So I can imagine once you get in, you don't want to get out.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And we've tried to create this again, where it's like people's third place. So you've got home, you've got work, and you've got to go somewhere that you just love to go, because you have to go to work and your home is your home, right? Like that's a no-brainer. But then you have somewhere that you go that you just love, where that's my people, that's my community, that's my tribe, and that's what we want Grit Fitness to be for people.
And I noticed that it's faith-based too.
Absolutely.
That probably is another key that brings community.
Yes.
So go into that if you don't mind.
So it's something that, like, faith, Christianity specifically is a big part of my life. And so I don't want to, anything that I do in life. I also run a few restaurants for my parents, and we got scriptures on the wall, and we try to create an atmosphere in there that you may not get at most businesses. So I don't try to separate that, right? Like it's infused into who I am, so it just naturally becomes a part of the gym. Every single self-help, because I love self-help and motivation. Every self-help book, every motivational book, all of those books, any good thing that I pull out of them, like, they're all biblical principles. So it's easy for me to infuse the two,
Yeah.
So they don't always call them biblical principles or know that they're biblical principles, but it's a Bible-based truth. So yeah, it works easy for me. And I take pride in knowing that we have reconnected a lot of people with their faith.
Wow.
And with church, where they had stopped going or hadn't really saw it as a priority, and it's made them realize, okay, maybe it is. Maybe we should get back in there. So yeah, I love that part of it. Absolutely. But it's not like, we have a lot of people that they're not Christians that go to our gym, and that's not something they're interested in, and it's not something that we force upon anybody.
Yeah, I think that's a good touch too, because I get that from your post.
Yeah.
It is faith based, but it doesn't look like you're trying to cram it down somebody's throat. So that's very opening and attractive for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. We try to be, we're all inclusive. Doesn't matter what your background is, what your anything. Just come hang out with us.
I like that a lot. So we have a spectrum too. You have the person on the couch that can make gains and feel better about themselves. But we also have the grit games.
Oh man.
Yes. What is
That's
this?
like the other end of the spectrum. So the grit games, so
it's a loaded question, huh?
it is, yeah. So where the idea for the grit games came from is, I've always loved obstacle course. I say always. Let me start back at how I got into obstacle course racing, because that's how we get to the grit games.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I was about to turn 30 years old. I was going to be 30 in, I think this is right. I think the timeline's right. I was going to be 30 in 2013. And
oh, wow. How old are you now?
37.
Wow.
I was like,
he looks young, man.
Basic math, my friend.
But I never get it right?
Right, so, yeah, me neither. That's why I'm questioning my timeline.
Yeah. I want you to say it. I want him to say it.
You age like fine wine, man.
Well, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have a baby
continue.
face. So 2012, I'm fixing to turn 30, and I'm like, man, I had already started considering my health, and I think I had lost a little bit of weight, but literally zero muscle mass. I never worked out a day in high school. I never did sports in high school. I was the manager for the team, right? So I could travel with the teams and hang out with everybody, but I had zero desire to play any sports. Yeah. I hated the idea of physical exertion. Like, seriously, it's crazy, because I love it now, and I probably would have loved it then. There was psychological factors surrounding that as to why I resisted, and it was a part of that was my rebellion, if so to speak.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was about to turn 30, and I had just noticed that I was watching my sister-in-law, and she went through this physical transformation, and she went from just like me, out of shape, never worked out, to becoming a personal trainer.
Wow.
Looking great, super motivated. It changed her, and then she started her own kind of fitness business, doing a boot camp. And I was like, man, that's super cool. But not ever engaging in it. So then I tried P90X. This was probably 2011, something like that. And I did it for 30 days, and that was about it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I lost some weight, but I had zero muscle mass. When I did P90X for the first time, I could do 3 push-ups and 0 pull-ups.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. And so from there, in 2012, my sister-in-law did a Tough Mudder. And I was like, that looks super cool. I hadn't didn't, that looks fun. And I like solo sports. I don't like team sports. I don't need your help, and I don't want to help you. I'll just do it myself. Thank you very much. So I asked her, I'm like, but I'm competitive. So I was like, so who won? And she's like, oh, you don't win a Tough Mudder. You just do it. You just do it for fun. I'm like, well, what was y'all's time? They're like, they don't even keep time. I'm like, I'm so confused. Why did y'all do that? Like, what on earth? Like, the pictures make it look like y'all were in an all-out war, and y'all were just out there.
And it's called race.
Farting off? Like, what on earth? So I started doing research because I was like, okay, but it looks fun. And then I found Spartan Race. Okay. So this, to me, was like a paradigm. I had like a literal light bulb come on, paradigm shift, everything's changing moment when I went on to the Spartan Race website. And it's funny because I love Joe DeCina. He's the founder of Spartan Race. But Spartan Race is so fluffy now. It's like not what it used to be.
Yeah.
So when it originally was founded, and like I say originally founded, I think it started back in like, I don't know, 2011, I don't know, way before I found it. But it was still in its like, this is awesome. And it was, to the death type mentality. And I loved that. I found that thing. There was a video on their homepage, and it was Eric Thomas, and it was his How Bad Do You Want It speech.
Is that the one where he's in the classroom?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love it.
And so they had that.
They
had that speech behind this like perfect music, and this black and white footage of the most grueling race I'd ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I was a huge fan of the movie 300 at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I still love that movie. One of my favorite movies. I was watching it all the time, all the while like being this like super sissy of a man, like doing nothing physical, like, and resisting it at every chance. But watching 300, like, they're awesome. But so I found Spartan Race. I'm like, all right, so maybe I can get into this. Maybe this can be my motivation to like do some real training and really commit. So I watched that video, and that's kind of when I started training. And I watched that exact video every single day for it was months, because like that was my motivation. Like, so for those who haven't seen the video, you have to look it up. Like, you have to watch this video. It's just Spartan Race, How Bad Do You Want It? Or Eric Thomas, How Bad Do You Want It? For like the if you want to watch the one I watched, it's Spartan Race, How Bad Do You Want It? That's what you search in YouTube.
What's the part that got you in that speech?
So I mean, it's the whole gist of it. He basically says it's on you, right? It's your choice. Anything that you're not achieving in life is because you don't actually want to achieve it.
Right. And
like something just went off when he said the story is, I'll just tell you the story. This guru takes a guy, he finds the guy, and the guy's like, hey man, I want to make money, and I want you to teach me how to make money. He's like, all right, cool. He said, meet me at the beach tomorrow. So he takes him to the beach. He's like, all right, I'm at the beach. He showed up in a suit, and the guru was like, we're at the beach. I don't know why you're in a suit. He's like, come into the water. He's like, come into the water. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go. You want to make money? I'm going to teach you. Let's go in the water. So they both go in the water. As soon as they get into the water, the guru grabs him and holds him underwater. And he's holding him underwater, and the guy's fighting, and he lets him up right before he's fixing to pass out. And he looks at the guy, and he said, when you want to be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Woo! And it still does.
It's still,
I watch it. It's now when I watch the video, still if I want to be motivated, because that's what it comes down to. And that's one of like the key principles that we've used at Grit to help change people's lives. We say it differently now. I don't say how bad do you want it. I feel like that's kind of extreme, and it definitely motivates some people. It motivates me, but it's a little harsh for some people. Like, right. So you're telling me if I don't want it as bad as I want to live, then I can't be successful? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, but you can't just say that to people. I mean, you can. Obviously, it's worked for Eric. So we say discipline equals freedom, which we kind of stole from Jocko Willing.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that actually ties to, again, like I said, a biblical principle. Uh-oh. So we use Hebrews 12:11. It says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So it's the principle that, Nobody wants to do that hard and terrible thing. It's, it's so much easier to take the shortcut, to take the easy path, or to just not even do it at all. But the people that you look up to, that you respect, the people that are achieving the things that you think are outside of your capacity or whatever, all they did was pick the harder path. They picked the path of most resistance.
Yep.
They chose to look at the obstacle as an opportunity and say, you know what? I'm not quitting. I'm not backing down. We're going to go. It's similar to, which is why I like the movie so much. Leonidas, like as soon as he was met with opposition, he's like, oh, I know what to do here. And he literally, the way he did it was so genius, right? He took just 300 because he knew, he's like, they're not going to let me take the whole army, but I could probably get away with doing this. So, and then he went to a path where he literally like obliterated a guy's army that had unlimited, like he didn't have, there was no limit.
Right.
He knew they weren't going to win, but he was like, I'm going to make him wish he hadn't messed with us. So it's that mentality. Like, I will not be denied. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going opposition after opposition. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do the thing that needs to be done.
It's interesting that you said you like motivational videos. I do as well.
Yeah.
But you seem like the person that you don't need motivation to get started.
Well, so and I used to think that motivation was what it took to get me. It's a loaded question. I don't need motivation.
Take it, John.
Nobody necessarily needs motivation. What they need is discipline.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like motivation.
Yes.
It's entertainment to me.
Yep.
And I've had to like separate those two. I've had to categorize, why do I like it so much? And it's because I like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Gosh, man, we're like the same person, man.
So some people,
Who are we talking to?
I'm sending them these motivational videos and they're like, that's the most boring thing I've ever listened to in my life. And I'm like, I could listen to that on repeat all day long.
My kids, and even Mike makes fun of me all the time because I'm constantly watching that Eric Thomas thing.
Yeah.
My daughter, she wanted to get straight A's and get a reward. So I told her, you need to get motivated and stay motivated with it. So I played that Eric Thomas thing, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm just ready to go run like 10 miles.
Absolutely, same.
And she's falling asleep. She's like, why? This is dumb.
I've done it with my children, and I'm like, okay, I guess not everybody feels the same.
I don't know how.
It's not motivating to everybody.
I think you have to be at the right place in your life to understand it.
Well, I think part of the reason is when I was younger, when I was probably in junior high, maybe a little younger than that, actually, when it started, my parents were in Amway. I don't know if y'all know what Amway is, but Amway was like the original, and sounds terrible because I like Amway, and I like multi-level marketing. They were the original pyramid scheme, right?
So, I've heard, yeah.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is, though.
You come do it, then tell your 3 friends, and they're going to tell their 3 friends, right? Okay. We're going to build this team, and we're all going to be happy, and we'll all get rich. So my parents were involved in that heavily, and part of like the way that you operate in those types of businesses is you're told to listen to motivational tapes, like, and there was tapes back in the day, right?
Yeah.
That's why I said tapes, because they literally had cassette tapes that they would pop in, and so it was Les Brown and Zig Ziglar. Those are the 2 that I remember, and I'm telling you, after I listened to that Eric Thomas, like I started looking for other stuff on YouTube, and I found the old Les Brown stuff, and it just like it's very nostalgic for me too. Because I literally remember riding in my mom's minivan or my dad's truck, listening to the exact same speeches, like, and they're still relevant today. I'm like, this is so good, so good. I love this, and I'm just like, he's right, like the whole time, And Les Brown is great. I don't know if you're familiar with Les Brown, but he's always telling you, he's like, you're amazing, like you can do it. Like I'm like, I am, thank you. Like who doesn't want to listen to that?
He kind of reminds me of of some Will Smith stuff. They got very similar styles. I think.
For sure.
There's that one Will Smith one where he's talking about skydiving. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
He's talking about, I don't know the quote verbatim, but he was going skydiving and he was so scared to do it. But he says on the edge of fear, or on the other side of fear is success or something like that. And the way he's explaining him jumping out of the plane, he was so scared, but up to that point, after he jumped out, it was just pure bliss.
Right.
And you could apply that to every aspect of our lives.
But he'd have never gotten there if he'd have let that fear.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, so bliss is on, and that's honestly, that's what our goal is at Grit Fitness, to show people they're terrified.
Right.
Some people, I've heard people, they came to our gym 4 times. Sat in the parking lot, never walked
No
inside.
way.
And I'm like, oh.
Come on.
Some of them have. They finally come in, and it literally changes their life. I'll give you an example. One of our coaches now, she's been a coach, I would say, for maybe a year now. She messaged me for 2 years straight trying to work up the courage to come to Grit. Hey, I'm going to come. And that was like her, like, trying to motivate herself to come.
Right.
Like, you don't have to tell me you're coming. Just come, you know?
Right.
But I would tell her, I'm like, yeah, you can do it. She'd ask questions. Yeah, you can do it. Like, totally. Like, you should come. Because I know anybody can do it. We make it to where literally old grandmas can do it. Overweight people can do it. Anybody can do our workouts. And our coaches are trained to help anybody be able to do the workouts. And so took her 2 years. I don't know what it was. I don't know why she finally came, but she did. Not even the same human being.
Wow.
Like, literally transformed her life. Her kids have come. They're not like super involved. One of them is doing our Grit Kids program. She's a coach now. It's completely changed her life. Her husband comes now. I mean, it's that idea, like you said, the fear. I'm trying to help people realize on the other side of fear, like, you don't know what's on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Like, it's a trick. It's a trap. Like, you're being deceived. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
So
how do you deal with those people that say, I need to go, I need to come? Because Mike and I talk about this too, is we try to encourage our friends to, be healthier and run.
Absolutely.
But it's very discouraging for the roller coaster folks, that they start, do they stop, or they say they're going to how do you deal with that? Because I'm sure you're bombarded with folks that need to start or need to go. How do you stay motivated to keep those folks kind of at bay and keep encouraging them?
Yeah. So what I do is I used to take it personal,
Right.
as if there was some sort of personal mission and I was responsible. And if I didn't get them in here, then I had failed. And so I had to change my mindset on that, because I mean, it's not realistic. Number one, you can't make somebody do something. And that's a lot easier said than done, because when you feel that way, it's hard to change that. I don't really know when it changed, but I do know that I no longer like feel that responsibility, that like their health, their success is my responsibility. Again, I'm constantly trying to cultivate an atmosphere and opportunities to be an entry point for people. And so that's where my focus is. That's where I try to say, and I try to help the people that are engaging to stay engaged and get better. That has now become my focus. When I first started, yes, absolutely. Like, I used to take it very personal when people weren't successful or they would get super involved and then something would happen, right? Because everybody has setbacks, and sometimes setbacks literally derail people, right. And it's almost impossible to get back on. So I just don't take it personal, and I constantly am looking for those opportunities. And what is mind-blowing to me, and what is the most satisfying, is that I've now been blessed to create this place and this opportunity that it's not me motivating everybody anymore. Right. And that's what it kind of started as. Like, everybody looked at me and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a lot of pressure, calm down. Like, I'm just a man, and I'm barely making it, and y'all, you're looking at me like I've done something special. And again, superhumans are just disciplined humans. I read a book yesterday that said it so much better than I've ever heard it put. Have y'all read Atomic Habits?
No.
So we're going to come back to that.
I've seen that book, though. Yeah.
Oh, that's
one of those motivation
books. It's like, it should be a textbook, like in schools. Like, everybody should read that book. It should be a life book. So they don't have to look to me for the motivation. Like, there's this entire group of people that, and honestly, a lot of them have accomplished a lot more than I have. They've overcome a lot more than I have. And so I highlight them. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying about this obstacle that you have, but so-and-so did this. It's not about me, right? So-and-so did this. And my reward, my currency, yeah, it's a business. The profits are not what motivate me. I have in my phone every success story that's ever come across my newsfeed on Facebook or been messaged to me. I've got a folder in my phone. That is my reward. And then anytime I'm like, why am I doing this? This is a lot of work for not a lot of profit, or this is a lot of work for the hate mail I just got, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the thing is that I'm stressed about. And I'll just open my phone, I'll go to that folder, and I'll just scroll, reading all those stories of the lives that they would not have been impacted the way they were if Grit Fitness didn't exist. And so that's how I get through that, like, this thought that, like, somebody's success is on my shoulders, is because I realize it's not. And all I have to do, I'm offering the opportunity, and we're here. And again, every day I'm trying to get smarter. How do I break down another barrier for somebody? How do I make this an entry point for somebody? And I also accept the fact that we aren't for everybody. That's why we give them the 3 free classes. If you come to my gym and after 3 free classes, you don't want to be a part of it, I don't want you to be a part of it.
Right.
There's somewhere else for you, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm totally okay with that. To the point where we've had people come for 6 months and then change gyms. We've had coaches leave and go to gyms that are like right down the road. And I ain't mad at them. It's not for everybody. They're continuing their journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used to take all of that super personal. If you're that kind of person that you're going to constantly take it personal, it's going to be more misery than it is reward. And it's not fun. Like, I would have already quit if I didn't figure that out yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So talk about Grit Fitness, the games.
Yes, the Grit Games. That's where we were going with this. Okay, sorry. So I got into Spartan Race. I started training, and I loved Spartan Race. I loved the idea that it was grueling, that it was hard, that if you failed an obstacle, they're going to yell at you, do 30 burpees, and they're going to count your burpees, and you better do them right. And again, it's not that way anymore. And then they have this other race. They did have this other race called the Death Race. And I was like, what in the world? And the Death Race was made to, like, make you wish you were dead. They did ridiculous stuff. And the way that they would find winners for the death, the way you win the Death Race is it's basically 72 hours of hell. And that they keep going and keep torturing you until there's only 7 left that are still going. And when there's 7 left, those 7 won. Like, that's how you win the Death Race. Yeah.
That doesn't seem like that goes well with you. You seem like a one winner kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, I liked the idea of it, though. The idea that they were going to force everybody to quit. Because what they would do is, let's say that they got closer to the end and there's still 20 people in it. It's like, okay, we got to come up with something that not everybody's going to want to finish. Yeah. And so they just keep torturing them until there's only 7 standing. But yeah, no, you're right. And
I think be a winner.
I think that they did maybe have like this one best overall or something. I don't know.
I'm surprised 7 would last. That seems like a high number.
Yeah. And I don't know that 7 lasted every year.
Yeah.
I didn't research it. It's this is how Joe DeCino described it in his book Spartan Up. So the Grit Games. This was all before Grit Fitness ever existed. And again, I'm always in my mind thinking, if I had my own whatever, this is how I would do it. That's just like the way my brain's wired. Yeah. Anywhere I go, like I could be in an ice cream shop. Man, if I had an ice cream shop, this is how I would do it.
I'd get everybody 2.
Yeah. And so
3 free ones.
Every once in a while in life, I've had the opportunity to actually try out. Okay, you now have the opportunity to do it the way you would do it, Kenny. What would it look like? So that's where the Grit Games came from, is me having experienced all these different things, accumulated all this knowledge about how they work, and saying, okay, if I had my own event. And really, whenever we came to the Grit Games, before the I would say 6 months before, we had partnered with this lady that we met, and she wanted to put an obstacle course race, and we were going to help her do it. And that just did not work out. That fizzled. It got to be where she was like, okay, guys, I'm going to lose $30,000 if people don't start signing up for this. I was like, you should cancel now. Don't do this thing. Please. We don't have $30,000 and I don't want to be responsible for that.
Oh my gosh.
So she canceled it. We just squashed it, but we had already like gotten into it. We were like excited about it. And so that was like in March or February when it got canceled. It was supposed to happen in April. And, you know, man, my wheels were already turning. I was like, man, we got to put an event on. How do we do this? What does it look like? And then I started thinking about the fact that we have this giant state-of-the-art facility because we had just opened it the previous November. We built our new building. It's 6,000 square feet of obstacle chaos and fun and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, man, maybe we could have it here. We don't have to, there's not a huge expense like this lady was clearly incurring. I don't know how her expenses were so high, but we clearly, you know, need to figure out how to way to do it on a budget. So also there was 2 things that had to be. different from everything else that was on the market, right? So we don't need another Spartan race. They're doing great at what they do. Let them keep doing that.
Yeah.
We don't need another Savage race. Like, they all do their thing. We don't need another. And back then there was like 20 different ones. Like, you just pick one every weekend, you can go do it. I need something different. And I want it to be so hard. When people were done, they were like, why did we do that? Why are we here? This is the worst thing I've ever done. So I came up with the structure of it. I'm like, okay, so we'll do 5 events. It'll take all day. It'll be terrible. They'll be super hard, but very like technical. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, like, you probably don't belong here. If you didn't train, you don't belong here. This isn't a get off your couch, which Spartan race was, right? You just hop off the couch, go do a Spartan race. Now you're going to hurt and you're going to wish that you had trained, but you can still do it. It's doable.
Yeah.
Another thing is Spartan race did become a sport, but the way that they ref their sports, it's like super casual and like open to interpretation, and there's not a lot of like regulation on it. So I was like, we're going to have judges. People are going to have to do things the right way, and if they don't, they're going to fail. There will be zero cheating, zero opportunity for cheating. Everybody's going to do everything right. So I wanted it to be this like high standards, very grueling obstacle course race. Like, if you love obstacle course racing, you have to do the Grit Games. So that's kind of where, and I call my buddy Roy. He's my business partner. He's 50-50, was 50-50 Grit with me at the time. We recently brought on another partner. And I called him and I'm like, hey, so we're going to do this event. Here's what it's going to look like. Help me come up with it. And he was like, all right. So we started talking. That was in May. And that August, we had the first Grit Games.
Wow.
Wow.
And we had people fly in from all over the U.S. to do it.
From the U.S.?
Yes. We have a guy from Chicago, and he's been on our pro team for the last 3 years now. Victor with a K, Victor Racinas. He's super cool. And a few other people from different locations. And so now, it's grown quite a bit, and it's evolved a little bit, and we've learned a lot, and we're fine-tuning it. We just had a Grit Games planning meeting this morning to work on scoring. We're perfecting the scoring. We think we've got it like just right. In years past, like, so when it comes to like my events and the way we do things at the gym and everything, I don't have the best reputation for being like a nice guy. Like, most people, when they're like, hey, what do you think of Kenny? They're like, oh, he's a huge jerk. But like, these same people would take a bullet for me, you know?
Yeah.
But they're like, no, he's terrible. Like, the worst. Like, if I'm coaching class, people walk in, they're like,
Dang it.
Because you hold people accountable, I'm imagining.
I guess that's the way I see it. That's the way I tell it. But they're like, no, you're just mean. Like, you're mean. Because like, sometimes my motivational advice is, they're like, how do I do this? I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
They don't like that answer. Like, just do it. But how? Just do it. You know, the Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's
just do
when
it.
that came out, everybody sent that to me. They're like,
this is you.
Did you make this? Like, is this you? So, where were we?
Well,
Grit Games.
Yeah, specifically, what makes Grit Games different from a Spartan race? Like, what are some of the obstacles?
So the main thing that makes it different is it's a 5. How do I explain it? It's 5 events in one.
Okay.
It's one event, but it's 5 different competitions throughout the day.
Okay.
So, and the goal is to find the best obstacle course racer in the world. That's our goal. We want to prove this, because here's the thing with Spartan race or any other thing that you call a world championship. It doesn't matter what it is. If it comes to obstacle course racing, depending on where they choose the location, the distance of the race, and the obstacles that they have, like, you can pretty much decide the winner. And it's not always going to be the same guy. Yeah. It's not always going to be the best obstacle course racer in the world. Because at the end of the day, if you study obstacle course racing, you know who the best obstacle course racer in the world, and they don't always win the race. Yeah. Because it's suited to someone else's skill set, if that makes sense. Like, if they have it at altitude, homeboy's not going to win it. If they put X amount of elevation gain in it, homeboy's not going to win it. Although when it comes to obstacle course racing, he is the best, but he's not the best mountain runner, you know?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. All of that's a part of it. So what we tried to do was dissect it, peel it back. And so it's 5 events. And what we're doing is we're testing your athleticism as it directly relates to obstacle course racing. Obstacle course racing as it is today. It's evolving. It's been evolving. So we test The first thing we test is strength, because you do have to be strong. There's things like bucket carries, there's boulder carries, there's different strength events. There's the Herc hoist where you hoist up the big bag. There's strength stuff. So we do a whole event dedicated to testing who's the strongest dude here, and the strongest guy is gonna win that. Now it still involves a little bit of running, because it's still as it relates to obstacle course racing. The second event is speed, and it is. So the strength event in years past, this is why we're working on scoring. So the strength event, let me get through it and then I'll go back. Right. So the second one is speed, it's called the Burt 400, Yancey Culp, Yancey Camp. He's the one that invented this workout, and we just literally, I messaged him, I'm like, hey, we're going to use this. He's like, cool, go for it. Because it's perfect. It's the perfect hell to test speed as it relates to obstacle course racing, because there's running and burpees. Oh. And those are the two things that you got to do fast if you want to be good at obstacle course racing, especially Spartan racing, because their penalty is burpees. So it's a 400-meter run, so one loop around the track, basically, for those who don't know what a 400 is. 400, and there's a 3-minute timer. So the 3-minute timer starts as soon as you take off. When you finish your 300, whatever time is left, you do as many burpees as possible. And it's 8 rounds of that.
Holy cow. Do you have to be the first one to finish, though?
No.
Okay.
All you have to do is when you get back, you do as many burpees as you can, and you do that 8 times, so it's accumulated.
So take your time.
So every time the 3 minute, no,
because you want to have the most
every time
burpees.
the 3 minutes, starts over, you take off again. So it's 3-minute timer. You run. When you get back, I usually have about a minute and a half if I'm running fast. I do as many burpees as I can. As soon as the timer clicks, take off, run again. You do that 8 times in a row. That's the second event. That's called Burt 400. Yeah, the record right now, which is held on Burt 400 for our event. Yancey has different standards on his burpees. We have very, very particular, specific standards for our burpees. And so the highest score we've gotten is 221. That's Van Tran. I think that's his highest score. He's fast.
Yeah, I've seen
that
him.
was like 30 more burpees than the second place guy, which that's substantial in a 24-minute window. That's a lot of burpees. So the third event is obstacle. And the way we do that, it's basically a 80-foot rig, obstacle course rig set up in our parking lot, 80 feet long, and it's Ninja Warrior style. So it's as fast as you can get down it, and as far as you can get. Last year, no men completed it, and only one female, I think, completed it. And so, again, like I said, it's hard, and it's grueling. And then the fourth event is an actual miniature obstacle course race. I think last year it was about 4 miles. It was a 4-mile obstacle course race. And listen, they've already done the accumulation of everything else that day, and then they're coming into this. And then the final event, the fifth event, is the endurance event. And so it's 5 events.
Wow.
And
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
What's the endurance event?
Yeah, what's that?
Okay, so it's a ladder, and it ladders up, and it starts. I'm gonna get it wrong. It starts with it's air bike, dead hang, farmer's hold with the kettlebells, and wall sit. And so you start with 3 calories on the air bike, and you have 15 seconds to do it. And then you move to a 15-second dead hang, 15-second wall sit, 15-second farmer's hold. And then it goes up by 30 seconds, and the calories on the air bike increases. So then it goes to 7 calories on the air bike. But you only have so much time to get it done. And on the other ones, you have to hold for the entire timer. And when you reach failure, when you can either no longer complete all the calories or you can no longer hang on the dead hang. Dead hang is what usually gets people.
Yeah.
That's when they fail.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think the wall squats.
No, the wall sits, people are usually fine on those. Because a 2-minute dead hang versus a 2-minute wall sit, people can wall sit a lot longer than they can dead hang.
How thick is the bar they're holding on to?
I think it's a 1-inch bar.
Okay, so it's not something.
It's a standard pull-up bar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nothing crazy.
Man, the wall sits, I've incorporated those in my workouts now.
Yeah.
And I'm at
they can be brutal, right?
30 seconds right now. That's it.
Yeah.
They're
We
killers.
used to do those in school, and they were like, you feel that? Those are all the sodas you're drinking. We were
Right,
like,
yeah, totally.
I'm gonna stop drinking them.
So a lot of the stuff that we do at the gym, it ties in too, because we do lots of wall sits. We do a challenge every month. This month is the dead hang challenge. We've done wall sit challenges in the past, and last month we actually did a plank challenge. So
I've heard some of those times. The plank one got up to 5 minutes.
5:28, I think, was the record
last
month. Yeah,
and the hanging one,
I don't even know.
That's hard stuff.
They get substantial. Yeah. We've got some people that can do some freakishly fit stuff for sure.
That's intense, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you've had a number of athletes go on other shows too, like large market shows.
Yeah. There's only one I can think of. So Chris Rogloski, Christiana is what her name was on the show.
Okay.
I mean, that's her actual name.
Oh.
But she goes by Chris. She's actually a coach. She's one of our coaches, and she manages the Lake Jackson location for us.
Wow.
But yeah, she went on the Titan Games,
Oh.
that show that The Rock hosted, and she actually made it pretty far. She made it to the top 4 females. And honestly, most of her abilities on that show, that was just natural talent. Like, she's just gifted. She's like not human. No, I'm serious. Like, she recovers faster than the normal person. She's genetically inclined. She really is.
Yeah.
She's only recently, I would say in the last year, started to realize that with some training, because I've been trying to talk to her since she started, that with some like disciplined training that she could not just be one of the best, but she might actually have the potential to be the best.
Wow.
But it's going to require, that discipline. I'm sure you guys have heard people like Michael Jordan say, so why are you so good? And he's like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm a gifted athlete. And this brings me back to what I wanted to talk to you about the book, Atomic Habits. Are you willing to do the boring work? And so he talks about that. That's the difference in a world-class athlete. Are you willing to show up and do that boring workout that you've done 1 billion times that's only going to make you 0.001% better, but you're going to do it for 300 days in a row, right? Because that's the difference, is the guy who's not world-class, that doesn't win the Olympic gold, he wasn't willing to do the boring workout. He wanted to do whatever was on Facebook or Instagram, or his buddy distracted. He had a workout planned and his buddy was like, hey man, let's go. It could be so minuscule as just changing the workout, when he knows this is what's going to make me the best in the world if I do it day in and day out. Like guys like Michael Phelps, the perfect example is that's like recent is, I don't know if you guys follow CrossFit at all. I don't follow CrossFit, but I have friends who do. Right. And it's crazy because they all sent me the same post. I had like 4 people. I'm like, I don't even care about CrossFit.
Yeah.
Matt Frazier put out that he was quitting, and everybody sent me the post. And I'm like, why do y'all think I care? It's fine. Like whoever sent me that, I'm not mad at you. Thank you for sending it to me. Because it did give me some perspective, because I kind of wanted to know why. And you know what he said? I was tired of doing the exact same thing. He said, I've done the exact same routine for 5 years. Yeah. Zero freedom. None. Like, I was owned. Because he wanted to win.
Yeah. Fittest man in the world, right?
Fittest man in the world. And he knew what it took to win. And he was willing to pay the price. And when you've paid the price for long enough, I think you earn that to make that decision. Okay, I proved that I can. I'm going to back off a little. And I don't blame the guy at all. That's mad respect to be that dedicated. And he was like, I'm done. I'm done paying that price on the daily. So that's the difference in those world-class athletes. And my point is, back to the athletes that we have that have been on the show is Chris is getting there. She's catching that thought that, man, with some dialed in specific discipline training that isn't necessarily fun, it's not entertaining, but it's what has to be done for me to move the needle, right? Because that's what it boils down to. Lots of people work out, they're just throwing mud at the wall.
Yep.
But the world-class athletes that win, they're not throwing mud at the wall. So, and then she went on Ninja Warrior, but didn't do so well, which I was surprised, because she has insane grip strength. She's really strong. And I went and saw her on the Titan Games, and that was incredible. It was really fun to watch, and she did really well. But on American Ninja Warrior, I didn't get to go see that one, so I'm not really sure what happened there.
And in watching the videos, was she the one that finished the whole course?
On which?
On the Grit Games.
Yes. Yeah. She was the only female. She makes the Grit Games look easy. I'm like, okay, this is
all
not
right.
Okay. Yeah, you're I'm clearly failing the ladies division. But all the ladies behind her, they're a mile behind her. So I'm almost ready to start making her compete in the men's division.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why don't they compete together?
The men and the women? The weights are different. It's just some of our ladies would not even at all come anywhere close if they had to do what the men are doing.
The weights, but everybody lifts different weights, right? Like if you're picking up that bag, not everybody could pick up the same weight, right?
As far as
what is that thing called where you pick up the bag?
the Herc hoist?
Yeah. So not everybody could do the same
So the
weight.
strength event, this is good.
All right.
Because this is what I want to talk about earlier with the grit games. And this is why we had a meeting this morning, because we're trying to perfect our scoring. And this is kind of like why can't everybody says Kenny's a jerk too. So we'll come full circle here. Is when we scored the first year, it was basically like only the top 10 finishers of the event even get any points at all. And it's just first place gets 10 points, second place gets 9 points, and that's it. And everybody else, you get 0 points. It's like you weren't even here for each event that you do.
Damn.
Yeah, no. And so people, and I'm kind of hard-headed, but I'm getting there. I'm learning. And so they would come to me and they'd be like, bro, this isn't fair. And I'm like, I didn't say it was fair. Like,
Life's not
I don't know
fair.
who you're talking to. Like,
Life's not fair, boy.
Quit.
did somebody tell? Yeah, no. I was like, you don't have to be here. Like,
Leave.
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Maybe they're right. No.
they were right to a degree. So check this out. So, the first year everybody completed the strength event. That was fine. The last 2 years we've only had a few finishers of the strength event, and it was the Herc hoist that got them. And it's not because the bag's too heavy. It's because that rope is like razor wire.
Gosh.
So the first,
Because I put razors on it.
no, I didn't. So check this out.
be
This is
tough.
this is a great story. So last year, not last year, the year before was the first time that like people couldn't do the Herc hoist. And Brandon Bonine, which is a bad dude, he kind of got his butt handed to him at the first grit games. And these people, listen, a lot of people, their training is now, they train for the grit games. Like all of their other, it's the hardest thing they're going to do all year. And if they'll just train for that, they'll be good for everything else. They've just got to train for the grit games. So he trained all year, and he came ready to like do some business. And he got to that Herc hoist first, and he couldn't make it budge. And I was like watching something else, watching another competitor do something, and people started coming to me because they were freaking. This is the first, it's the first 10 minutes of the first event of the day.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they're like, oh no, what have we done? Like, we've made it impossible. And so they're coming to me and they're like, Kenny, he can't lift the Herc hoist. Like, he was in first place and now he's in last place. Like, we're going to ruin this guy's life. What are we doing? Something's wrong.
Help us.
And so I go to Roy and I'm like, Roy, which is my business partner. And then Reese is another of our business partners. And then there's Randy. Randy is like, he's been my best buddy for a long time. Randy.
Randy, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's actually like, he's responsible for even getting me into running. He like kept telling me, no, you can run. And he would always like, when he would preach, he would give these little analogies on running. And so like he got in my head about running. So he was there, and I go up to these guys and they're all there. And I'm like, what is happening? What happened? Is this okay? And they're like, this is totally okay. This is the grit games, and this is the strength event. And if you're not super strong, you don't get to lift that bag. Like, cause one guy came up and he's like Hulk, right?
Yeah.
How much was the
Pulled
bag?
it-
How much?
I don't
was it?
even know. It's like 120 pounds.
Did you try it first?
So listen.
Yeah, I need to know this part.
So listen. Everybody puts that on me. So when are you going to do the grit games? I'm like,
No,
don't you worry about
yeah.
that. Mind your business. So the first thing I do is I'm like, okay, who made this obstacle? And so it's Roy. Roy he's the construction guy. Roy, did you test this obstacle? And I was like, can you physically do this? He's like, I lifted that bag, no problem. I'm like, okay, as long as you can confidently say that, let the games progress. Like, let's just do this. And so the second year, we had even less people. I'm like, did you people not train? Did you think? And we even gave them like a slightly easier. Some people that didn't complete it did complete it the second year because they specifically trained. We did add like something to make it a tiny bit easier this last year. We added a knot once you got to like a certain point on the rope. And it's just this thin like nylon rope. It's terrible.
Nope. You're turning the Spartan, man. Starting to cut corners.
No, there was no corner cutting. The corner would have been to make it easier. That's what Spartan does. They dumb their obstacles down.
Yeah.
Their rope climb obstacle, and don't get me wrong, Spartan gets credit where, they've done well. And they are like a behemoth corporation now, which is why they do some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
So they're rope climb used to come out of a pit of water, like you were like in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh man.
And they took that away
Yeah.
because of, insurance, whatever. Blah,
It
blah,
was
blah.
hard.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. So, anyways, so people come up to me and they're like, I DNF'd, and goes back to the scoring and why we're changing the scoring. They're like, I DNF'd on that event. They're like, if I could win first on all the rest, and it doesn't matter. Like, I don't stand a chance anymore. And I'm like, okay. Like, why are you telling me? Like,
Bye.
yeah, you can go home now if you want. Like, or you can keep competing. Like, it is what it is. So this year, I competed in an event that's similar to the Grit Games. It was kind of like based on the Grit Games. One of my buddies owns a gym in Dallas, or he runs a gym in Dallas, Luke Halterman. It's called the Foundry Gym. And he put on the Fittest of the Foundry, and it was like a similar format. And I'm going to tell him myself, I felt like the scoring could have been done better. No,
Kenny, I can't lift the bag.
So I came home and humbled myself, and I was like, Roy and Reese, we got to meet. Like, we got to fix this. Like, I feel so bad about past competitors. Like I didn't care about their feelings, and maybe I should have, because they're like, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. But
Yeah.
and I didn't train all year for the Foundry event, and I still had that twinge of like, well, that wasn't super fair, Like, I can only imagine what these guys that they literally gave their entire year of training to it and show up, and like the only reason they didn't do better was because of an unfair scoring format. So we're fixing that. Okay. We truly are. We're fixing to do like a live Q&A on our Facebook and like reveal the new scoring system. And I'm telling you, it's going to be legit. Another thing that we've changed this year is you have to qualify for the Grit Games, because it's a small event and we can only facilitate so many competitors, and we really want the best of the best because it is so terrible. So we want you to have to earn your spot at the hell that we've created. So
in this, going back to this bag thing, I see these guys are completely
harping on the back.
They're completely horizontal.
I could not complete the strength event. Okay,
is that what you want to hear?
No, it's official. I would DNF on that event.
Yeah,
but I accept that.
No, I mean, I've never seen that ever. So they're like almost completely horizontal. And if you don't have enough physical weight, is there something you can clamp down on to pull?
The only thing we give them, there's nothing you can clamp down on. There is a 4x4 that's like staked into the ground. Yeah. So you can use that for leverage, and that's it. There's nothing else. Actually, and we just let them do that this year. We didn't let them do that last year. Yeah. We had a spray painted line, and you had to stay behind the line last year.
Gosh. Yeah, if you were a 100-pounder, you wouldn't have the weight to like...
It's true.
You have to like...
And people with height, regardless of weight, have a substantial advantage because there's the leverage.
Yeah.
Is what we've noticed.
Sorry, buddy.
It's people that are tall.
Well, you got to have arms to get that though, huh?
I don't know.
It's like a 50-50 for me at Spartan Race whether or not I can get the Herc hoist. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Sometimes my grip is just too fried. And so what I'll do is, and I shouldn't do this, but I go up to it and I size up everybody around. And I look at how much they're struggling. And so I think, okay, that guy's way bigger than me and he looks like he can barely do it. And there's been a few times where I just go straight to burpees. I don't even try it. We don't give you that opportunity at the Grit Games. No, sir.
What's probably the most difficult part of the Grit Games that people struggle with?
So it depends on who you are as an athlete. It's different for
your
everybody.
attributes, right?
Yeah. There's this, like I said, Chris, everything's easy for Chris. Trying to think what would probably be the hardest for her. Probably maybe the strength event she would say is the worst.
Yeah.
But honestly, they're all terrible. We have another on the other side, the male freak of nature is Victor Quesada. He won the first year and he won this last year. He did it the team event the year before, and his team got second place. Not his fault. But he's a freak of nature. He makes everything, just like Chris does, it look super easy. He completes everything. He didn't complete the rig, though.
Sucker.
Yeah.
Nobody did.
Nobody on the men's side did. He got the closest, though, and he was the fastest other than not being able to complete it.
Yeah.
So, what was your question?
I was going to see what the hardest obstacle was, but it sounds like it just
hard to
depends
say.
on the athlete.
It's
It
the
really
unfair
does.
bag. Let's just get it out of the cat's out of the bag.
Seems like
Yeah.
it.
But the guys that completed it would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was easy.
Yeah.
Right? They would say that.
You
So
okay.
I will reveal this. What we're changing about the
revealing
strength
a lot
event.
of stuff here.
Yes, this is a big reveal. What we're changing about the strength event is instead of if you don't complete it, you get a DNF, it's going to be AMRAP style. So everything you do counts. There's nothing to finish. It used to be 3 rounds and you had 30-minute time cap.
Okay.
And that's why people DNF, not because they physically couldn't do it, because they had that 30-minute window. If I gave them 2 hours to do it, they'd probably find the strength, find the will to do it, but they're under this time pressure. And so now it's going to be like there still will be a time cap, but whatever you complete, you're going to get credit for it. So one guy that I feel kind of bad because he would have placed a lot higher if he wouldn't have DNF'd. He would have gotten credit for everything he did. So,
Wow.
But he DNF'd, and that it's the first event, and so it kind of threw his whole day off. He still crushed the rest of the day. But I've seen it defeat athletes after that first event where they're like, what's the point? Like, why am I like legitimately? And my answer back to him is, I don't know what to tell you, and honestly, like I still stand by that answer because like, we're like through the first event, like the scoring is the scoring. It's all been decided. There's nothing I can do about it. This is not the time to talk about
My
this.
hands are tied.
Yeah.
He seems like one of the sorry about your bad luck.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
No, it's like,
I own this thing, but I can't do anything.
people probably own voodoo dolls of me. They do terrible things to them.
I've seen some online. So you're right.
There you go.
I was going to talk someone from our world, the running world. Well, it's kind of y'all's world too, but
Yeah, I love running.
we saw Lauren Stroud started Grit. So
Yes.
is she going to just take over this thing or?
So it's interesting. She joined because she wanted something for her husband. She was looking for like, a gym for her husband, and she was like, hey, let's go try this. And so they joined, I want to say a little over a year ago. They started coming as just like they got a punch card. And so they would kind of dabble in it. And then she got kind of hooked on the idea of the way we do training. And it's like totally outside of her wheelhouse. Like never done any real like strength training, especially not the way we do it. Never had done obstacle course racing. And obviously everybody that runs and this local knows Lauren, right? Because she's like literally a world-class runner, like superstar runner, super fast. And she's at like every 5K and every 10K. And she's like the nicest person ever. So she gradually over like, I would say the course of the beginning of last year, like got more and more into it, started coming more regularly, got a regular membership, started training, getting excited about obstacle course racing, and just started training more for it. Then she signed up with a team for the Grit Games, and that's when she really shifted into like to the next gear and like decided, okay, I'm gonna get good at these obstacles. From there, that was it. Like that was the fire she needed to be like, okay, I want to do good at obstacle course racing. And so she's been training pretty hard for obstacle course racing ever since then. She did her first Savage race, and she would have done really well, but she got to an obstacle, their mandatory obstacle completion. You either complete it or you're done. And close to the end of the race, she got to one where she just couldn't finish it. And it's literally just a matter of inexperience. I mean, she never touched an obstacle till this year, or till last year.
Yeah.
So she had maybe 5 months of experience just working at our gym, but never having that like realization of the pressure that's going to be on you once you're like under the gun. You know, that's the one thing that maybe we can't provide in our training is like, you're gonna like, it's the pressure is on when, the person you're racing is right there and they're fixing to blaze past you. And if you don't complete the obstacle now, you're basically, you're done. So, she tried out for our pro team and she did amazingly well. And, she's on our pro team this year. And so we're super excited to see, how well she does. She got 3rd place at the Foundry event. Mm-hmm. And it was like a mostly strength-based event. There was some running, and that obviously helped her a ton. But it wasn't specifically her running helped her, don't get me wrong. But if she wouldn't have had some strength that she's been developing over the last year, she would not. She probably would have quit. Like she'd have been like, yep, no thanks.
Yeah, it's a whole nother world,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Who was the female who came in first?
So Megan May, she's actually on our pro team this year, and she was introduced to us by a pro team member from the previous year, which they're both on our pro team again this year. Tammy O'Neill introduced us to Megan, just a friend. I'm not even sure how they know each other. She had signed up for the Grit Games this year and then had some schedule conflict and couldn't even make it. And so they just kept like asking her to come try out for the pro team. I had never met her, didn't know anything about her. She showed up, like dominated the tryouts.
Who's second? The Christiana?
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. To beat those two,
yeah,
she had to be in the Savage.
Yes, like complete. Just she's crazy. Wow. She's tough.
What kind of what's the pro team tryouts like?
Yeah,
it's trying to gauge this that
it's
way.
It's similar to Grit Games.
Me and Mike
like,
can
it's
think
like
about
hell.
it.
Yeah, we're trying to
it's
join
like
the
hell.
team.
Yeah, this year we had open tryouts, so you just show up. You don't have to apply. Just anybody could show up. And we always have those few people where they are like, "Why did I come to this? This is not okay."
That'd be me.
Do you have to be a certain height?
No.
Okay, good.
I would never do that.
You got to have a strength though, right?
You know who you're talking to?
There's probably a kid one, right? Oh, you can do the kid one. That might be fun for you.
There's probably a little bit of a strength. You got to have some type of arm strength. Yeah. I don't know if he'd qualify for it.
I mean, you could probably tell. I could probably do that and more. So let's just continue on with the pro team. What's that all about, man?
So the pro team started as an obstacle course racing pro team. Now it's more of a general pro team. It includes whatever sport it is you're competing in: obstacle course racing, ultra running, general fitness competitions, whatever. But it started as just like a way for me to be involved in the obstacle course racing world at like a deeper level and try to help people to create more community, and as a way to promote our brand. And it's actually worked really well. That's how we were able to develop the relationship and do this first affiliate gym that we're doing. That's how he found out about us. Like, he'd never heard of us.
Wow.
You know, if it wasn't for the pro team and, you know, the jerseys and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just an opportunity to build community and to create this team atmosphere and this team vibe. And so this year is definitely by far our best team that we've had. And when I say best, I'm not talking like, I don't look at our pro team as like this. It is, don't get me wrong, as this like elite level, like they're going to crush everybody. Like, that's not the team to me. The team to me is like, they are like the best people. Like, they're just amazing. They're the kind of people you want representing you, and not because they stand on the podium, but because of their character when they're not on the podium.
Right.
And they're just good people.
I really like that. I like your perspective on the business and
yeah, because we have some people that like they're never gonna win anything. Like they would tell you that like I'm just not gonna win. Like and I'm like and they beat themselves up about it. But they train like they are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's the integrity they have.
Mentality.
They hold themselves accountable, and they even up the ante. They're like, I represent this team. I'm going to do my absolute best. And like I'm telling you, every single person on our team, every single time they compete, like I just beam with pride. I don't care if they get dead last. I know they gave every ounce of everything they had, not just on race day, but in training. Right. Every day leading up to it. They're eating so they can perform better. They're training so they can perform better. They're sleeping so they can perform better. And part of that is because they represent Grit Fitness and they want to represent well. That's way more important to me. Like, don't get me, like we've had opportunities to have better class athletes, but I'm like, I don't know, you're just not the right fit. And that's okay.
Right.
You know?
So the pro team, they travel around to other obstacle course events?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. They'll travel to wherever, literally anywhere in the world.
Anywhere I tell them to.
Fit. I don't tell them. No, trust me. I don't go that route. I'm like, y'all have fun.
Oh, you don't go, you're not a team member?
So that's kind of technical.
Are we going back to the bag?
So I did order myself a pro team jersey. Oh, I moved that. Why did I move that?
Oh, you're good.
I moved your camera.
Uh-oh.
Should be okay.
Did I mess it up? Okay. So I did order myself a pro team jersey this year.
Does it look okay?
Still sexy. Can I shift it?
Shift it.
Just make sure we're both
can't
in
see
the
on
frame.
here? Oh, you can't see on the...
There.
Okay. You're good now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Cameraman too, man. You
Look at that, man. And the bag.
I need a raise.
Yeah, not the bag though. He's gonna go home and do the bag.
Yeah.
He's gonna go set it up. Oh, he's gone, guys. Grit Fitness, everybody.
So,
no.
Back to what were we even saying?
Pro team travels. You're not on the team though.
Yeah.
I got myself a jersey this year.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that is because I competed in a few events last year, at the end of last year, and I did pretty well. And I was like, I am at the competitive level of these guys. I want to do these events. And if I do these events, I want to represent the team. So they'll get the people on the team. They don't really see me as a member. They see me as like it's weird. It's a super weird relationship and vibe that they like.
It's not mascot, is it?
Like I'm the dad. Like I'm the team dad.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird.
That's not a bad position.
Well,
It's weird though.
Well, it's a little weird because you own you're one of the owners of the gym. So.
Yeah, so I asked one of the members of the team, and I won't reveal who, and I was like, man, is it like they were like, it's weird that you're putting yourself on the team. Like you own the team. Like you don't need to be on the team.
And
like,
you didn't qualify, so
He's gonna kick your ass.
You are the team. Like you don't need to be on the team. I'm like, well, I want to wear the jersey, and they're like, fair enough. It's like you just said I own the team. I can do what I want. Leave me alone. So, anyways, we'll see. We'll see how often I wear the jersey.
yeah.
I'm only gonna wear the jersey if I'm gonna represent well.
So back
You
to
take it off if you don't.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through the race. Rip it off.
Nobody's supporting me.
Go sit on the side of a hill and cry like Nacho Libre did.
hides out. Well, back to Grit Fitness. Amazing gym. Do y'all help people with nutrition and do y'all plan meals, that kind of thing?
So sort of. You should think of, like you said, it's kind of a cult, has a cult following.
Right.
And the reason is because it's a lifestyle brand. It's a lifestyle gym. And so it does affect every area of your life. And it would be, in my opinion, it's crazy that people will train as hard as they do and give no attention to things like nutrition. It's almost like, it's like, I'm trying to think of the right analogy. It just doesn't work. I mean, everybody's heard the cliche, you can't outwork a bad diet.
Yep.
And I would actually say that there's three things that are more important than even exercise is when it comes to your health. And I would start with water intake, your sleep, your rest, and then your nutrition. And if you don't have those three things, at least if you're not even paying attention to them, like it's going to be real hard to ever enjoy exercising. So it's going to be hard to be healthy if you don't have those three figured out. So yes, but we don't hold your hand with it. We try to educate is what we try to do. And so the Wild Diet by Abel James has kind of been our go-to source for information on nutrition. That's what we have challenges every month, and every 3 months, once a quarter, we do a Wild Diet challenge where we try to get people to do the Wild Diet for 30 days. And it's been one of those things that's been transformational for our members. And so we do what works. We try to keep it simple. We're not trying to reinvent anything. Yeah. The Wild Diet isn't something new. It's not a fad diet. It's eat real food, don't eat processed food. That's the Wild Diet in a nutshell.
Right.
But it's revolutionary for a lot of people because they're not taught that. And it's like, I have to remind myself sometimes, because I grew up eating fast food, like primarily white bread, fried foods. Like that was my sole like food. Like that was it. That's all I ate. Yeah. And my drink of choice was Coca-Cola until energy drinks came out. And then I switched to energy drinks. Yeah. So like, eating for the sake of nutrition and health, like never even entered my mind that was something I should do. And I didn't know why I never had energy and had what I didn't, now it's called brain fog. I didn't know I had brain fog. Yeah. I didn't know why the second I would get in a vehicle to go somewhere and I was a passenger, I fell asleep. Like I didn't equate that to my terrible food habits. So the Wild Diet, I sometimes have to remember people don't have this information. So people ask me all the time, they'll ask me questions about nutrition, and I've learned now, I'm not answering your questions on nutrition if you haven't read the Wild Diet. And so, again, that's probably why people call me a jerk. They're like, okay, you're a lot of help. Yeah. So I ask them, I'm like, have you read the Wild Diet? Because they know, like, that's where, like, I shouldn't have to answer your question. Like, the answer's in the book, and he knows it way better than I do. Like, I'll have to talk to you for 45 minutes when you could have just read the book and had the information. You need it for yourself. I'm not going to meal plan for you. I'm not going to meal prep for you. Although, last week I did launch a meal prep service.
Okay.
So
really?
Yeah.
What is it called?
So it's called From Scratch Meal Prep Services.
All right. So what is that?
So it's basically like, the meal prep services that exist where you don't have to think about your food, pre-planned, pre-portioned, all that kind of stuff. And I would say the difference with us, and I've had a hard time finding this, is it prescribes to the wild diet. So it's clean. Like you can guarantee there's no artificial colors, artificial flavorings,
sweeteners.
There's
like
nothing
that.
weird in it, like zero. It is real food from scratch, the way food was meant to be experienced. And so that's the biggest thing. And it tastes amazing. Like it's really, really good food.
So who's doing all the cooking?
So it's my buddy, Rogelio
Okay.
Campos. He's a fantastic cook. He's a food nerd, and he gets all sciencey about it. And he has read the Wild Diet, and he's done tons of research, and he knows what he's doing. And we launched it last week, so everybody got their meals this week for the very first time, and everybody loved them.
That's awesome.
Constantly getting pictures and feedback. Hey, this is amazing. And we're doing a different menu every week. Right now, it's only available to gym members, but we're going to go public soon. We're just trying to get all the kinks worked out and make sure we don't grow too big too fast.
So are you going to have an app, or are you going to do it on Facebook or Instagram? How do people...
Facebook is where we're going to promote it, basically, and
Okay.
we'll eventually have a website where we're going to try to make ordering as easy as we can.
That's neat, man.
We're going to start out to where basically you pick up your meals at the gyms. So that's the way we're starting, and we'll just grow from there.
That's critical. It's so hard to eat clean these days with work. Both parents working, they got the kid thing, and it's hard. It's so easy to leave the job and go get a burger from Burger King. Yep. So that's going to be huge, especially
you don't have to think a lot. You just kind of like, it's the same principle that we have with the gym. If you'll just show up, that's what we ask you to do. Just show up. It's the same. Now we're trying to help them with the food. Like, just eat this.
Yeah.
Like, just eat it.
You're covering all the grounds.
Trying to.
That's funny. I don't even. We didn't see that you were doing that. So
it hasn't been launched to the public at all.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's
exclusive.
just within our.
I know.
We got our first exclusive.
That's one of the big things with that we've used to help the culture and grow the culture at Grit is Facebook groups.
Yeah.
So we have a members only group, and that's where all like the behind the scenes that people are like, what is this thing about? It's like, you don't know until you're in that group. Like that's where obviously in the gym, right? Face to face, the communication, but then we have all these challenges and just different stuff that we communicate about that, we have 3 gyms. We have Bay City, West Columbia, and Lake Jackson, and they all know each other, even if they only know each other through messaging on Facebook because of that Facebook group. So
that's a cool way to keep everybody connected.
And
How do we get a part of that without joining?
You can't. Nice try though. I
All
like
right.
that.
Swing on this.
Gonna have to join. We have to.
That's another area where everybody says I'm a jerk. Is they're like, everybody wants like a
little piece of it.
Yeah, they're like, I know you, so let me do this. I'm like,
Come on, man.
Can't do it. Sorry, not gonna happen.
That's awesome. So you got that. You got a little coffee business too, right?
Yeah, my parents own 421 Coffee House and Bistro. We got one in West Columbia, one in Bay City, and I run both of those for them.
That's nice.
How you physically or spiritually?
I definitely don't do the physical side. I don't want any of the employees to hear this and think that I have a hand in that. I manage the managers.
Okay. Where's this other you that's doing all the rest of the stuff?
Yeah, these are in here.
Do you have a twin? Triplets?
I need some more people.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, there's a team that makes it all happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like all y'all's social media too. It looks inspired by Spartan a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grittiness,
The
right?
grittiness,
Yeah, for sure.
the font.
Absolutely.
all that stuff.
I love their branding.
Yeah.
No doubt.
No, but
I love the
it's
Spartan
unique to you as well.
Yeah.
I like your brand. I think it's pretty neat. Another thing, well, you keep going on your path.
No, I was just who you're talking about the content. Who does that? Because it's very professional.
Yeah.
So it's me, and then I have a
Hello,
Cal.
that's me.
Nice to meet you.
I do most of the social media, and then I have a girl that it's funny because her dad was my teacher in junior high. I always have this like long backstory down that. It's
I like
just
it.
a trending.
It's a lot. It's a lot
for the podcast. So, when we opened 421, my sister-in-law was running it. She helped my parents launch it. I didn't have really anything to do with it other than I liked food, and it was going to be sandwiches and coffee, and I love sandwiches and coffee. So I was all about it. I was like, yeah, do that. That sounds fun. This is before Grit even existed. And one of the very first people they hired, she was there when they opened, was Nay. Her real name is Neliza, but we call her Nay because that's way easier to say than Neliza. And she's the one that does all my social media marketing. She rose up through the ranks at 421 after I took it over, and she became like the top dog there, running everything. Found out that she was super good at social media, put her in charge of the 421 social media. She joined the gym, became a coach at the gym, started putting her on social media over there. So it's been kind of a tag team effort for the branding at 421 and at Grit. I cast the vision, and she's like, okay, she can literally, it's great when people are like this. Whatever my vision is, she can be like, she can live with inside that. She doesn't have like a box that it needs to be in for her.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't try to she definitely puts her own style with it, but it only increases I'm like, hey, here's what I want you to do. And then when I see what she did, I'm like, oh, that's way better than what I had in mind. But also like definitely on point and with the vision. So it's me and her. She's the one that has been doing it.
What software are y'all using? Because when Mike and I for editing this stuff, we're using a bunch of free stuff.
So we use everything.
Everything.
So for the longest time,
good answer.
And I don't even know if I need it anymore. I pay for the Adobe Suite subscription.
Yeah.
But I really don't know if I need it with all the free stuff. I don't even know when the last time I used it was, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because she has an iPhone. I'm like anti-iPhone. I'm an Android guy.
That's the one thing where we don't see eye to eye.
You're an Android guy?
Yeah.
All right, we're done. Turn the record button. All right, turn the button right there.
Stop.
That's it. Redraw the line. Look, there's a lot to that. It's not just like it's deep seated.
A lot of times,
Steve
it
Jobs
is with
stole
Android
all my music back in like 2006.
That was a big move for
everybody. I was
everybody.
like, okay, I owned several Apple products, and I was like, never again.
Okay,
Don't need to be a part of this. And not
we'll give you that. We'll give
conspiracy.
You gotta come back though. They got Spotify now, so you basically
Spotify.
No. What are you?
What
are you tuning into?
Do you like Adam Sandler?
But we should not go down this rabbit
yeah,
hole.
This
is gonna derail so fast.
Yeah, we have.
They're gonna just put an X on the page. All right, so I guess we got to find another.
This is from the last guest anyway. Yeah. Go into it.
So the software we use, Nay uses whatever it's called. It's a pretty great app. Splice, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so she uses that on her phone. I use one on my Android called UCut.
Yep.
Not nearly as good as the Splice one. Obviously, there's much better apps for iPhone.
Because Android,
for Android.
You don't get a lot out of that.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So, for the longest time, I used Adobe though, the Adobe Suite.
Yep.
Most of the stuff we do is from Adobe Suite. I now use back to Adobe Spark Post. I use Spark Post a lot. That's their like phone app, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. At least I don't think you do. I don't know. And just free apps like that.
Very
That's
nice.
What we use.
So what's the future plans for Grit? Where else do y'all want to expand?
So, man, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The vision never stops.
I could maybe help segue. Y'all did a Grit ultra marathon.
Yes. So that's where my mind was going.
Yes.
So, there's several branches of Grit, and we maybe branched out sooner than we should have, but it's done. What's done is done.
No such thing.
And so we do events, right? Now we have like an event series. It's not just the Grit games. Like that was the first big event we did, and now we have several events. We do the Grit games. We do the Grit 5K. This year we're going to do the first Grit Games Kids Edition. We do Crash Dash, which is a qualifying event for the Grit Games. It's basically an obstacle course race, just like Spartan Race, just like any of the other ones. There's a pro division and then there's a fun run division, the open division. Anybody can do it. Literally anybody can do the Crash Dash. It's a great entry point. It's even, I would say, a step down from Spartan Race because Spartan Race is in the mud and the hills. We're on the street and in the gym. And we have the absolute best members when it comes to volunteering for these events. Like they make our events. When most of the reviews I get back from our events is how amazing our volunteers were, and they're just our gym members. And they love volunteering for these events. And so the Grit Ultra, last year, 2018, what year is it? When did we do the first one?
I thought it was 19.
19, because it's on New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 18, 19, right? No, 19, 20.
Yeah.
That's when the first one was.
Okay.
So Big's Backyard was happening in like, when does it happen? November or something? No, September. It happens in September, or at least it did this year. I don't know if they changed the date. I don't follow it super closely, but Chris does. And so several people at the gym were following Big's Backyard, and I was just overhearing them talking about it. They weren't even talking to me about it. I had just done my first ultra, which was a 50K, which I was super pumped about. And then actually I had done my first 100 miler. I did a habanero 100.
Damn.
So I was just coming off of that. And, you know, once you get the ultra bug, like, you're like, I'm just going to run 100 miles from now on. Like, that's just what I do. So, which hasn't worked out so well for me. We'll talk about that. Heard about Big's Backyard. They told me the format, and I'm like, I want to do that, but I'd rather just like put the event on than have to go run somebody else's. So got the idea, messaged Roy and Reese. Hey, what do y'all think about doing a race like this? 100 miles, 4.3 mile loop, every hour on the hour. It sounds terrible. It sounds like something Grit, you know, would do. And so I said, what about February? They were like, yeah, sounds good. And then I don't know. I honestly don't know what made me think. I was like, what about New Year's Eve? I don't do anything on New Year's. We could do it on New Year's. And I was like, but other people do. I was like, oh, well, ultra people are crazy. They'll go for it. So I messaged my wife. That's the first person I met, right? You know, you gotta have your ducks in a row. Hey, so do we have any plans for New Year's Eve? This is in October of the same year. And she was like, I don't think so. And I'm like, what if we did this? She's like, okay, sounds good. That's not her typical response. So I didn't ask no more questions. I'm like, okay, thanks. Message Roy and Reese. Hey, what about this? And they're like, sure. And that was it. We started planning, and that was the first Grit Ultra. Everything just kind of like worked out perfectly too. And again, we had people come from like other parts of the United States, which always freaks me out. I'm like, oh no, now it's a real event.
That's really cool.
We have to do it really good. And we had a lot more people. We had a guy from California, a chick from Wisconsin, a guy from Missouri come. Like, it was super cool this year. And we only had one finisher this year. So
who was that?
Who was it?
So it's David Caraway, and he finished the 50 miler. We had relay teams, and we had 0 relay teams finish.
Wow.
That's how.
What?
Do you not know any of the story from the Grit Ultra this year?
No.
Okay.
I was following.
I watched.
From the very first loop, the very first steps you take at the race, this much water.
Yeah,
water,
it's always like
slosh
that.
water.
That Brazos Bend area, right?
No, so it's not always like that. We ran on this thing for months.
No, when the ultras
training.
come, they're like always like
underwater.
Your shoes will come off. It's so much like suction into the mud. It was terrible.
The worst I've ever seen. So there was a creek there was a bridge that by the final loop that people were doing, they had to swim across the creek. So there was a bridge you could run across on the final loop, which I think was maybe at 6 a.m. No, it was around 10 a.m. All they had to do was make it to noon. I think they made it to almost 10 a.m. and they were swimming across. My kids did this race. My 12 and 14-year-old.
Wow.
They were going out. I think my son's last loop was at 6 a.m. The dude was swimming. Like, at 12 years old, I'm sitting there at like 2 a.m. because I attempted and DNF'd at like 30 miles. It was so painful.
I bet.
And I didn't quit. You know, the clock runs out because I told last year I quit. I could have went out for another loop, and I didn't. I was like, I don't care anymore. And I told myself, I was like, you're not going out that way. If you can physically move, you're going to keep moving. So I'm sitting there at 2 a.m., like freezing to death, thinking wish I could be anywhere else in the world but here right now. I'm so miserable. I was looking at Reese and Roy like, thinking, we're never doing this again, ever. This is the last one. Because it was cold, especially for Texas. Like, I don't like the cold at all.
Yeah.
And so I was telling somebody, Kingston took off. That's my 12-year-old. He took off to run a loop. It's funny because before he started, he was like crying. He's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, then don't do it. Like, I don't care if you do it or not. I'm not going to make you, I'm not going to make you run in the dark at like 2 a.m., and he was like in his onesie pajamas because he like really didn't want to do it and was planning on. And then the buzzer beeped and he took off. I was like, I guess he's running it.
Wow.
So I told somebody that was sitting there, I was like, you could come up to me, like 12-year-old me, and you could be like, hey, Kenny, there's $1 billion out there. I'd be like, cool, it's staying out there. I ain't going out there. Not a chance. So, yeah, no, I'm super proud of them. I was blown away. And they just kind of like, I don't make them do I don't make them do grit. I don't make them do running, none of that. That's all their thing. They either want to do it or they don't want to do it because I don't want to, like,
force it.
I don't want to force it and then they'll burn out on it.
Is the Grit Ultra going to be a yearly thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. This was our second year. Y'all should.
Yeah, we should
totally.
I thought it was 100 too.
It's 100 miles, yeah.
Okay, you said 50.
So the first year, it was just 100 miles. And again, this
Just
is where...
Only.
Well, no, I'm saying that was the only option. It was 100 miles. That was the only option. We did do a relay option. So that was my concession. Because I just want everything to be as hard as it can be. I think it's great that nobody finishes. Like,
as long as you don't have to do it. Yeah, I get it.
I attempted it. I attempted this one, okay?
Yeah.
Kind of.
You sound like everybody else.
I believe
Are y'all members? Have people been talking to y'all?
Yeah, we're going to be now.
Just like my members.
a little tape falls off. It says grit. Oh, no. We're in the Missouri division.
The Grit people come in.
Yeah.
They're like, surprise.
So,
With a bag.
everybody started getting in my ear after the first one. They're like, you should offer more distances. You'll have more involvement. I'm like, I don't care. I just want it to be hard, and 100 miles is hard. That's the ultra. I want it to be tough and scary. So I guess I'm getting soft. I conceded, and we do 50K, 50 mile, 100K, and 100 mile. That's what we did this year. And relay options for all of those. And of all of those, even though we did have 50K people sign up, the only finisher was that 50 miler. And he did a fantastic job. That was David Caraway. He's on our pro team, and he's legit. You know what's crazy? Is he came and he tried out for our pro team the previous year, and he did not make the pro team, and he did not do well at tryouts. And that dude trained. I mean, he kind of disappeared. He kept, he was still a fan, kept following us and came to our events. But when he came back for tryouts the next year,
Different person.
this year, he was not last place. Like, people were like, who is this guy? Where'd he come from? Like, this isn't David from last year. So mad props to that dude. And then ended up being our only finisher at our Grit Ultra. Like, it's crazy. So only 2 other people made it 50 miles. The guy from, I think 2 other, maybe 3. I think Van made it 50 miles. Van Tran, he's on our pro team as well. He's a bad
He's
dude.
the fast one, right?
He's very fast.
Yeah.
Yes, he's about as fast as Lauren is.
I
They're
thought
equally fast.
Equally?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say.
Wow. Yeah, I saw him. I think y'all put some content out there, and he was just
He's a bad
hauling.
dude. He's a bad dude.
And those 2 will just be out a mile ahead
Absolutely.
of everybody.
They'll just sprint. It's
just
like,
one speed, right? Just
yeah, it doesn't matter what
fast as hell.
distance, doesn't matter what they're doing, what's coming next. It's just all out.
That's what I do. I try to conserve, what's going to come next, but they're just out the gate just as fast as they possibly could go.
Yeah, there's no
I saw the takeoff thing, and I think Lauren was
she just
bullet.
That was
like a bull.
She looks like she's freaking like a gazelle. Like,
Yes.
she doesn't touch the ground.
I'm like, is what I'm doing even running compared to that?
No, it's not.
It doesn't look like that at all.
I take like little short.
Me too. I take
steps.
tiny steps
by design.
Yeah,
I don't have a stride whatsoever.
No.
Like, it's very frustrating running with Chris because she gets like 1 step to my 4 steps, and I'm not joking. And somehow on her watch, she has more steps than me.
Is she fast?
I'll never understand that. So check this out.
Uh-oh.
She makes me angry. Last weekend, she ran a 50 miler. She got first place female.
Wow.
I think it was like maybe a 10-minute pace, 9:30 pace, which is substantial considering the terrain. It was terrible terrain.
It is.
People were falling a lot and stuff. She fell a lot. She actually hurt her hand on the first loop. The same week, she PR'd her mile with 5:24.
What?
Oh, she is fast. Dang it.
But what's crazy is that's like, yeah, she's fast.
What is your mile in?
Yeah, let's hear
Right
it.
now?
Yeah.
Oh, man, put me on the spot. So my PR, which was
So my
like
bag.
5 years ago, was 5:24.
Whoa. Okay.
But
Stuff, man.
yeah, but I did my mile trial this year because I've been focused on distance, which makes me sound dumb that I'm saying that because Chris just ran 50 miles and still hit her PR. It's like, okay, cool, Kenny. 6:24 was my mile time this week.
Okay.
Still.
But
really
again,
good.
I run like 30 miles a month. Like,
Oh, okay. So you're not a heavy runner.
no, I got to get my training back in line.
I was looking at your shoes. Do you do the minimalistic shoes or no?
No. I did for a while, and literally my feet almost broke off of my body.
Really?
Yes, I got to where I physically couldn't run. I could barely walk.
See, that's the opposite of what Mike's telling me. Mike says your feet get stronger.
So that was what I read.
How long did you?
Don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm not saying
it?
I'm not trashing it. I'm just saying different strokes for different folks. It did not work for me. Maybe I don't have the discipline. Maybe I don't have the patience. Maybe I didn't do it right.
Yeah.
And I fully accept that. But guess what? I like to run. Maybe I don't have the patience or discipline to do it. And I've accepted that. I was all about Barefoot Ted and all the different people that told me, Bill Maffetone, Mark Sisson, they were all like, no, barefoot's the way, it's the way. And I was like, cool, tried it. And I tried to do it methodically. I tried not to go all in. I am at zero drop. Ultra is my shoe. I love Ultras.
Okay.
That's what I try to go with. I do need a little bit of cushion. I'm trying to back off of the cushion. Because I do believe in foot strength. I think it's necessary. I think it's good for overall health, period, that you have strong feet. I preach to my people at the gym all the time. I'm like, look, foot health is very important. Wearing a shoe all day is like if you wore a cast on your hand all day or wear gloves, like you lose dexterity, like that you should have. Like you're literally, the longer your foot's in a shoe, the more strength you're losing constantly. And so it's like a catch-22 because I also like to run and I like to run long distances. And like, I'm serious. My feet I ended up with like plantar fasciitis. Like it was excruciating.
See, so mine's kind of the opposite. I got this, the Shoemaker Saucony.
Yes.
So I got the Saucony, I think the Pro Speeds that got that carbon base plate in it.
Yep.
And I was killing it for a while there.
Yep.
I broke all my PRs.
Yep.
And then I started developing, I think it's plantar fasciitis. So then I went back to my normal shoes that doesn't have that carbon base plate in it, and it was hurting for a while, but progressively it's gotten better. Yeah. So I just ordered my first pair of minimalistic shoes, and they're supposed to get in tomorrow. So
what are they?
They're the Amazon, like
don't ask him. I try to give him advice.
He tried to get me this.
He don't listen.
He trying to get me this expensive pair. I'm gonna get a cheap pair.
Shoes are expensive.
Yeah,
see if
I even want to do it. But I'm gonna try to go a good at least 2 to 3 months and give it a good shot.
Gotcha. Well, good luck with that.
I'll see what happens.
Let me know how it works out.
On his journey. Yeah, we're looking to do some ultra marathon stuff this year. We really want to do Leadville.
Yeah.
But we've only ran 31 miles so far.
I'm going to Leadville Sunday.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Just for vacation. Just for fun.
What's there? Nothing, right?
Nothing, literally.
It's the race is what makes the land, right?
To an ultra runner, yes. It is a tourist town.
Okay.
It has ski resorts. It has, museums. It has mining, the mining, culture and stuff. But trying to convince my wife that there's stuff there to do. She's like, why are we going here? I'm like, I picked it because I was like, this is Leadville. This is awesome. I didn't know this. It's the highest city in America.
Yeah. It's beautiful there too.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be like 10 degrees and snowing the whole time we're there. But, people from Texas love that.
Yeah.
It's new. Ooh, this is new.
Yeah. Well, man, we're an hour and 40 minutes in.
Oh, wow.
You're the longest podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
All good stuff.
Yeah. No, man, we definitely,
It's endurance.
It's the bag.
I have grit.
It's the
bag. Oh my goodness.
You need to get a shirt with the bag.
We appreciate you stopping in and talking to us, man. We look forward to hopefully speaking to you again. So real quick, how can people get a hold of you, or how do they join the gym? What's the social media?
So my phone number is the number that's on the website. When you call Grit Fitness, I just say hello, and they're like, is this Grit Fitness?
Wow.
So you can call me, 979-417-1627. My Instagram is Kenny Rockstar. You'll be disappointed with that. You can find me on Facebook, Kenny Stanford II, Roman numeral 2. And then our website for Grit Fitness is www.gritfitnessocr, that stands for obstacle course racing.com.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming on, and we appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.